We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Caleb Plant gets upset by Resendiz. In this video, I'm going to take you through it, give you guys my reads, and what really happened in that fight. Super middleweight fight, massive underdog captures the dub. So, yeah, should be a good video. Now, Caleb Plant just lost. That is his third loss of his career. We know he lost to Canelo. Payday, you want payday? I know that, right? He lost to him. He lost to David Benavidez. And now he lost to a former sparring partner in Armando Resendiz. Now, what do these three guys have in common? All three fighters are Mexican. That's right. So every guy that Canelo or Caleb lost to has Mexican heritage. Now, some people, they're going to hear this. They know I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. They're going to try to get technical like, oh, but David Benavidez, he's Ecuadorian. He's Mexican, Ecuadorian. It is what it is. When he fights, sometimes he has a Mexico flag, and nonetheless, three Latino fighters that have now beaten Caleb Plant. That's just the reality of the situation. So I thought that was interesting to note because it doesn't always play out like that, where fighters, when you look at all their losses, come from all black fighters, all Mexican fighters, all Latino, you know what I mean? Like normally it's a bit more, I don't know, mixed up, I guess you could say, but that isn't the case here. So just something to note. As far as the fight, I give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good is me, I like when boxing gets shuffled up because somebody performs. That is the case for Armando Resendiz. In a division like 160, 168, it's not super popping, especially with Canelo, because we know Canelo likes to hold belts hostage and not fight the best a lot of times, right? Not throughout his career, but he picks and chooses, right? So that's the reality of it. So for me, it's kind of good when boxing gets scrambled up and shuffled because it keeps the dream alive that if you train hard, you have a great strategy, and you put it together, that anything is possible. I mean, would you guys want a sport in boxing where the good guy always wins or the favorite always wins and there's no deviation of that, right? It's just whoever you think is supposed to win. So I think, to be honest, it's good when boxing gets shuffled up like this because it keeps the dream alive for other fighters who are hoping for like these upset scenarios. And it doesn't always happen, but it happened here. Now, Resendiz, I mean, I was impressed because I have seen him in the past. His defense didn't look that put together. So I was thinking that Caleb Plant would, you know, probably be able to handle him and have an easier time with Resendiz, but he was tough, resilient. He, in the first couple rounds, I felt like he was boxing, looking for counters. And then as the fight progressed in the back half of the fight, that's where he started to open up more and really put the pressure on. And he even hurt Caleb Plant, in my opinion, multiple times throughout this fight. Like Caleb Plant was hurt. And the thing that was really awesome for Resendiz, but bad for Caleb Plant, is I noticed that Caleb Plant, who's normally, his nickname is Sweet Hands, he kind of had his hands in his pocket and he was getting hit flush, which you don't always see from guys with the pure box ability to box type of style. You don't often, like, how many fights have you seen Floyd Mayweather? And I'm not comparing Caleb Plant to Floyd Mayweather, obviously, but Floyd Mayweather's and Andre Ward's, I'm not saying they don't get hit, but they don't get their head rocked and pinballed throughout the fight. Like Shane Mosley, like he clipped Floyd Mayweather, hurt him in the second round. That never happened again. Sergey Kovalev hurt or dropped Andre Ward. Never, that type of sequence never happened for the remainder of that fight or even in the rematch. That's what I'm talking about. So usually the pure boxer has like the ring IQ to, if they get rocked and hit, then they start making the adjustment so they don't get hit. But what I was seeing is Resendiz was just gunning for it, and mid to late in the fight, Caleb Plant's head was like getting rocked, and like he was taking some big overhands and hooks, and it looked like it was really putting it on Caleb Plant. So all praise to Team Resendiz. They had a great game plan. Man on fire. Denzel Washington. I wish you had more time. That he was a man on fire. Denzel walking away from the explosion. Like he was so locked in that it was like he wasn't losing to Caleb Plant. So what went wrong for Caleb Plant? I can't say what went wrong, like without being in camp and without having talked to Caleb Plant, but I'll just give you guys some of my opinions on what went wrong. For me, I think from the onset of this fight, it was already problematic for Caleb Plant, and I'll explain why. Because after round one, Caleb went back to his corner, and there was some advice from Breadman, his coach and trainer, and I didn't like that. So I thought he was already off to a bad start, me personally. And what was that your boy Ego heard? When Caleb was sitting down, literally after the first round, you can go listen to it and watch it again, right? But Breadman was giving him instruction. I don't know exactly what he was saying, but he was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Then he was like, you good? You good? You all right? And he was asking and saying this like he was very concerned with Caleb Plant after round one. So it was almost like Caleb Plant had like an injury or something that, and I'm not saying this to make an excuse because that don't change the result. Fair play to Resendiz. I'm just telling you what it felt like with that line of questioning. Like one round elapsed. It only had been one round, and it was like almost like Breadman was trying to see if Caleb Plant was locked in. And he was like, you good? And then Caleb Plant looked at him kind of, yeah, I'm cool. And I noticed throughout the fight, this wasn't the only time. There was another time in the corner where Breadman said something similar. You good? He said something like, you good, later in the fight. Is there anything that I need to know? And Caleb Plant was like, nah. So I'm like, I don't know what that was about, but I'm glad when they mic up the corner and I heard it and I thought that was weird, especially after the first round, right? I don't know what that was about, but I don't like it, and I don't think that sets a good early trend when your coach seems worried about you after one round and like, hey, how you feeling? And that's not normal. I watch a lot of boxing live on TV, This is my life. Like, this is what I do. You know what I mean? And I thought that was very bizarre that he kept asking him, like, is he cool and how's he doing? That kind of thing. Me personally. The other thing, this is in the corner of round 1. Breadman made another statement, and from trainer to fighter, I didn't like it. Me personally, I didn't prefer that. And Breadman said to Caleb Plant, don't fight this way. You could jab, jab, jab for 12 rounds and win like that. He said something to this effect, right? I don't know the exact words or whatever, but basically, me paraphrasing, Breadman told Caleb Plant to win the fight by just jabbing. To me, that was a horrible game plan. And to set that tone early and tell your fighter that after round 1, I don't understand that piece of advice, because from what I've seen, and I feel like Plant and Breadman doing their homework and having experience with this guy, sparring with this guy, that is not the way to beat this style. Pretty rugged, knew you from sparring, clearly has some power, some pop or deceptive power or something going on. And he was coming forward, but early rounds, like I said, he was boxing a bit more and just trying to look for openings, not try to get his feet too wet, dipping his feet in the pool, right? So why are you instructing Caleb Plant to out jab this dude? To me, that was the wrong game plan. So I gotta say that's part of the bad in what really happened, because for me, this is my perspective. You were gonna have to get this guy's respect. Like, he seemed so locked in, so focused, where you would really need to, like, make him respect you by landing something hard early and often to threaten and deter him from coming forward and marching on. So to tell after the first round, your coach telling you to jab your way to almost to victory, to me, I didn't see that as the keys to victory against this type of guy. This guy was rugged and, like I said, pretty durable, he looked like, and he knew you from sparring, and it was a hell of an opportunity for him, and you're telling him to box. I think Caleb Plant would have been better suited when he switched up with Trevor McCumbee in his last fight. He would have been better early trying to do that, but he let Resendiz, in my opinion, get into too much of a rhythm. So even later in the fight where he tried to stand his ground and, like, war back, I think his legs weren't necessarily there from fatigue and also from being hurt, because Resendiz, as I mentioned earlier, hurt him multiple times in this particular fight. So I was surprised that the game plan for Caleb Plant was shockingly bad, in my opinion. With Caleb Plant's ability and skill set, I don't think this was the right game plan for this style of guy. I think you gotta discourage a person like Resendiz. At least how he was fighting. He was fighting like he was possessed, and he really wanted it. So something that was surprising for me is Resendiz, he just seemed hungrier. Caleb Plant, he seemed more flat. Caleb Plant seemed like almost content with doing this. And that's not what I know Caleb Plant for. I'll give credit to Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant got a lot of heart. He those rough patches, he always fights through those. Like, hurt or not, Trevor McCumbee, David Benavidez, Resendiz, he fights through those rough spots. And sometimes he gets through it, but bad game plan from what I've seen. And another trend I was noticing from Caleb in this fight was early to mid rounds, he would start off pretty good, like round three. Caleb Plant started off good, and he was landing some good body shots. He seemed pretty confident. But by the end of round 3, he let Armando kind of win the back half. That's not good in boxing because you got to look at the judges scoring things, and there's almost like a recency bias. If you watch a 3-minute round and somebody did good in the first minute from 2:59 to 2, and then the other person did better in the closing moments of the fight, and they really started to pick up the pace from like 1:30 down to the 10 count, what's on your mind? What's on your mind is going to be what Resendiz was doing. So I thought in some of the closer rounds, I thought that Caleb Plant was allowing Resendiz to kind of flurry, and maybe rounds that Caleb Plant could have or should have won, he didn't close them strong enough for me, and they became Resendiz rally rounds in some of those closer rounds. So I had Resendiz up comfortable, which leads me to my next point, the bad and the ugly. I'm going to just lump it up for this video. The bad and the ugly is these scorecards are out of pocket. These scorecards are terrible, bro. You have a fight that for me would be, if I was a judge and I was paid to actually grade and assess this fight was an easy night's work. Like there's some nights where I wouldn't want the duty of being a judge because the fight is so tooth and nail. It's like, and it becomes hard to gauge because the rounds are so competitive, right? This wasn't that type of fight to me. This was probably an easy night's work, but David Sutherland, the judge, had the scorecard 115-113 Caleb Plant. Impossible. The fight I seen, that is not possible. Especially when Resendiz, in my opinion, he won like the last 5-6 rounds or more of the last 6 rounds. There's no way you could have came up with that scorecard unless you filled out your card before the bout began, or you weren't paying attention, or you confused the two fighters and you were writing down Caleb Plant, but it should have been Resendiz or something. I don't know. I can't speak for another man. I don't know why he had that scorecard, but that Sutherland scorecard was some BS. And when they said, oh, it's a split decision, and then they got to, oh, one judge has it for Caleb Plant, I'm like, man, they might mess up and rob this dude. So you never want that in boxing. I don't. I think fair is fair. I'm a fair man. I'm a man, bro. I don't care about YouTube. I don't care about content creation. I'm a man. I want what's mine. I want what's fair. If I earned it, I don't want something that I didn't earn. But if I earned it, then you got to give it to me. And I feel like Resendiz, he went out and earned his supper. You know what I mean? And to see the scorecard like that was janky. But for me, I can't. Boxing is on boxing be on BS all the time, right? So for me, I don't like to get too like negative when the right person won, and the right person won. So it's like Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo. CJ Ross had this bogus fake scorecard for Canelo draw or whatever. I mean, I get more mad when the right man or woman doesn't win as opposed to what happened here. So it is annoying because it really shows you the politics and dirtiness of boxing, or the lack of education, whatever we're chucking this up to, of scorecards and stuff like that. I get it. Caleb Plant's a stud. He's the bigger name. He got a kid on the way. That's great, but don't rob the man. You know what I mean? Don't lie and say you've seen something else. So, and there's nothing that ever gets done about it, right? Sutherland, he'll be back on the job for another big fight in the coming months. So boxing's a joke. It don't really want to fix its problems, it continues to do the same thing over and over. All in all, it really seemed like an off night for Caleb Plant. You know, no excuses. It is what it is. I don't know what's going on, but he didn't really just seem into it. It just seemed like the willpower and the willingness to win was on the Resendiz side. And boxing is not just about the fighters. I mean, obviously no one can help you in the ring, but that's common sense. But I think cornering and the messaging for the corner does play a part because it's part of the strategy. You know, it's like football in the play calling. You could be a good team as good as you want, but if they're telling you to run it on 4th and 12 and you turn over the ball and give up good field positioning, that's just a bad play call. You know what I mean? So coaching does matter. And to be honest, Resendiz's corner, Manny Robles, his advice was on point. Breadman's tonight or whatever with Caleb Plant, he got out coached to me, because I found myself, see, I don't have no horse in the race. So whoever's saying relevant information, I'm with that. It's a lot of times it's one or the other, but sometimes it's even both corners are giving good information. The information from Caleb Plant's side, I didn't find to be relevant to what Caleb Plant needed to do. Like Breadman said late in the fight, he was like, I need these last 2 rounds. I love you, kid. I love you, kid. We got to get these 2 rounds. For me, it at that point of the fight, that wouldn't have been my messaging. I think that it should have been a lot stricter and a lot firmer. Like, I love you, kid. And like, you know what I mean? That don't know. I think he needed to tell, because to me at that point, Caleb Plant needed a knockout to win, or several knockdowns, which didn't look like they were coming based on the ebb and flow. I mean, anything's possible in boxing, but rounds 11, 12, you need to start putting your experience to the test and walk the man down and make something big happen. And the sense of urgency, I guess he was trying to do it, but it wasn't firm enough for me. Versus Resendiz was clearly winning, and I felt there was more of a sense of urgency from Manny Robles to continue winning than Caleb Plant's side, and they were clearly losing. What do I mean? Manny Robles told Resendiz, hey, the ref, you know what I mean? He's threatening to take a point from you for headbutting or whatever. So be cool. Don't give them that. Don't give them an excuse to deduct a point, because that was on point from Manny Robles, the trainer, right? Because look at the end result with the Sutherland dude in the scorecard. So if Harvey Dock would have docked a point and showed that love, that would have benefited Caleb Plant. And then now you're looking at a draw maybe, or whatever. It's just, you don't want to go down that path. That wouldn't have been good. You know what I mean? If you got a point deduction. So Manny helped keep his young fighter and inexperienced fighter at the higher levels, keep him focused on and mission adjacent. So I really respected the coaching that I was hearing from Resendiz. He was like, do this. Everything was on point. Everything was on point. Also, I want to add Resendiz body work, very sneaky body work. And that, I don't think Caleb Plant liked that. Caleb Plant has some good body shots too, but I think the pressure and presence and more consistency from Resendiz, and just the more, like almost more dog and willingness in this bout. Caleb Plant is a dog for sure, but I don't feel like it came up as much in this particular fight. Again, Caleb Plant's always going to give you mad heart. He's always going to give you heroics and try his best to compete, but he just got outworked in this particular fight. And I thought Resendiz even closed the championship rounds better. So definitely it was a great upset performance. I would love to see a rematch. I think, you know, people talking about Jamal Charlo and Caleb Plant. I need a rematch of this first. I truly believe the best move is give Charlo another tune-up, because Charlo was robbed of extra rounds and a better stoppage because the doctor said, oh, it's over. And I don't think they should have ended it right there. Let Charlo get the rounds. Let Charlo get a more dramatic finish. I think Cornflake LaManna was straight enough where they could have allowed that to continue. So I would like another tune-up style fight for Jamal, and then run this rematch, Caleb Resendiz, and then after Jamal do a tune-up, and then we get a conclusion of if definitively Resendiz is better than Plant, a refocused Plant, then Jamal fight the winner. That's perfect. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Now, I got to toot my own horn. I tell y'all I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. I told y'all, then I showed y'all. Remember, it was me. There's a lot that I say in boxing. These other content creators, they're not bold enough to do it or say it. Everybody wants to, I don't know what everybody's intentions are, but people want to play it safe, I believe. So they're not going to keep it real. On my channel, I always keep it real. I don't care about nothing else. My brand is worth more. Me getting it off my chest and keeping it real with boxing is worth more. And I told you guys, and I warned you, I said, these bouts where you're previewing future fights, but putting in front obstacles and challenging fights is not going to be good for boxing, right? I said it with, oh, Ryan Garcia is fighting Devin Haney. They have signed contracts for October. They're doing a rematch in October. But first, Turkey wants to put Devin in with Jose Ramirez coming off of a loss at a catchweight and Ryan in with Rolly. Guess what? Ryan loses to Rolly. And here's the thing. The way Devin looked, if he didn't fight at a catchweight and he fought someone who wasn't coming off a loss, he might have lost too. It's just his matchup was a little bit lighter. You know what I mean? Rolly got cracked still, and that showed in the Ryan fight. So Ryan gets upset. Now Devin, Ryan, October rematch don't look like it's going to happen. Right? Ryan allegedly, now he needs surgery. He had a surgery. Ryan Garcia, his promoter, Oscar, I do believe De La Hoya telling him to take a year off, the rest of the year off. So that looked like it's up in smoke. Dr. Dre and Eminem concert, right? Up in smoke. Then you have Caleb Plant. They kept putting his focus like, hey, if Caleb Plant wins and Jamal Charlo wins, then we're going to make Caleb and Charlo. And even Caleb, maybe a bit distracted. He was talking to Charlo and, you know, win your fight and I'll see you. That shouldn't be the focus. Bro, these fighters are too distracted. You know what I mean? One, it's a distraction. You haven't even, like in my household growing up, my parents didn't allow us to skip the meal, not eat our veggies, not eat our protein, and not eat our side, or at least some of it, right? And then skip to dessert. That's what boxing is seemingly doing, right? Just go to the cheesecake. Go to the soft serve ice cream at the buffet. You didn't even eat your regular meal, right? Boxing, you cannot take anything for granted, people. You can't be looking through and past. These fighters aren't transparent because Caleb Plant, and this is just my read. Caleb Plant, he has had success. He's definitely had more success than Resendiz. So sometimes for fighters, I call it like falling in love with your character, right? You become like almost a character of yourself. These fighters, I know fighters personally. So fighters start feeling themselves like, oh, I got brand deals now. My house is fat. I got a beautiful wife and a kid on the way. Caleb Plant's posting movie quotes with Brad Pitt and Fury and Shia LaBeouf. And, worried about the shoes. You know what I mean? Oh, I got a style on them with the shoes, right? And I'm not saying not to do that, but you got to lock in and win because it just looked better. You know what I'm saying? Like having a dope ring fit that you spend 100,000 on, 200,000, whatever these fighters are spending on ring fits with tassels on the shorts and the gloves and the matching shoes and all that. That's cool, but securing the victory is even cooler. You know what I mean? Because while you're worried about the shoes and the outfit and matching and stuff like that, Resendiz has a baby on the way. Nobody knows him. He has nothing to lose, bro. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. Plus, he knew Caleb Plant from sparring. So that's a situation where, you know, the saying goes, it becomes hard to get up at 6 a.m. and run 8 miles in silk pajamas. And these fighters are now, in my opinion, in general, are more spoiled to that. And I know Caleb Plant said post-fight he didn't overlook or underestimate Resendiz, but for me, it seemed like maybe you did. Maybe you did underestimate him. Maybe you did look past to the Charlo fight. I don't know. But Resendiz don't have no pressure. He got a baby on the way. He don't know when his next paycheck is. If he get embarrassed and flatline, then he goes, you remove him from the pile. So the hunger, we talk about the Hunger Games. And that's why you can't take nothing for granted and look beyond what's in front of you. Ryan and Rolly. Oh, man, I sparred Rolly. You notice both of these fights, they had a history in sparring where the person allegedly did good in sparring and there was a future fight lined up for him if they got past their measly sparring partner. But Ryan and Rolly, the sparring partner, did what he did in sparring in front of the world in Times Square. Same thing with Resendiz. He was like, I ain't got nothing to lose. And on that fateful night, that given night, he just came out wanting to win, willing to win, and wouldn't take no for an answer. And that's what you're up against. He not worried about his shoes. He not worried about his gloves matching the trunks and looking fresh. And, you know what I mean? I got a baby on the way. I mean, they both have babies on the way, but, you know, he's not distracted. It's like, and that's the part of the game when you're a star. When you're a star, you're always going to have more pressure, which to me, as time goes on, and I predicted this too, as time goes on, people are going to gain even more appreciation for Floyd Mayweather. It's very hard to stay at the top. Very hard to stay at the top without overlooking opponent for 50 fights and fight those type of names that Floyd was fighting and never lose discipline, never look past Cotto to be thinking about Pacquiao. That becomes hard. And for me, Resendiz put it together. Now, post-fight, Resendiz, credit to him, he seemed very, very humble, and he seemed like a likable guy. He just was happy, looked like he wanted to cry and stuff. So, fair play to him. They interviewed Caleb Plant, very flat, very, you know, he tried to be very stoic. But my thing is this, when they were interviewing Caleb Plant, he was saying that he thought he won, and, you know, it's the luck of the draw. Sometimes you win, sometimes you come up short. I wasn't the better man. He took it gracefully, but almost too accepting. Like, he's saying he won, but I don't know if he really believes that he won based on how he was acting. Because I've seen the fights where a person thought they won and they're like, what? Like, they about to lose their mind in the ring. Caleb Plant was like, oh, I thought I did enough to win. But his energy and body language, for me, didn't come across as, hey, I was the victor. And I know maybe it's hard because even in the fight, there was a moment where he said, what round is this? What round are we in? So for a fighter in real time, maybe it's hard to record everything and, you know, memorize how you did, or you don't think you did as bad. But if you watch the tape, this was the Resendiz fight. He definitely won to me. There was no questions about it. And it's just one of the recent upsets. These fighters got to lock in. I'm trying to tell you, got to lock in. Can't take nothing for granted. People are coming for you. I mean, imagine you having everything, or at least more than a fighter, and you have everything they want. What you think they're gonna do? All in all, it was a good fight, solid fight. I enjoyed it. Resendiz, he just seemed like he had more bite, and he just wanted it a bit more. Caleb Plant, bad strategy to me. He was landing some body shots and some left hooks and stuff, but he was throwing a lot of singles and a lot of jabs. He never really got to a place where I thought he was in control, which was a bit surprising because Caleb Plant, when he fought David Benavidez, I thought he was controlling the first 5-6 rounds. And Benavidez was the one that had to kind of come from behind and do better in the second half. I thought this fight would be more like that. Caleb Plant also seems to fatigue in back halves of fights, which is not good with a guy like Resendiz, because Resendiz never was hurt in this fight that I seen, and he didn't get damaged too much or punished too much in the first 5 rounds, and then he kicked it up a notch. Good cardio in the back half where Caleb Plant kind of phased, and there were some sequences where Caleb Plant was bop, bop, head was rock. And this is not to take credit from Resendiz. Resendiz achieved his victory. Props. Congrats to him. However, I am an avid watcher of boxing. To me, that David Benavidez fight, I really think that not getting knocked out in that fight and taking punishment sustained, I think that it put some mileage on Caleb Plant. I really do. Because in his Trevor McCumbee fight and this fight, his legs seemed a bit more flat-footed. And he got hurt versus McCumbee and hurt here. And that I know Caleb Plant is always trying to challenge himself, but I really think that Benavidez fight, certain guys, they mark you. I'm not even being funny. Certain guys, their style will mark you where if you have a grueling fight with them, you might really not be the same. Like Wilder in his prime, look at Bermane Stiverne. Like, has Bermane Stiverne ever looked exactly the same as before he fought Wilder the first time? The first and second time. You know what I mean? He looked like a different fighter. Look at Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce was on a roll, beat Daniel Dubois, beat Joseph Parker by stoppage, stopped Dubois, but then he got to Zhele Zhang and then lost them 2 fights. He don't look the same. You know what I mean? He look like he getting dropped by jabs that he's throwing and Derek Chisora's beating him. He don't look the same fighter, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all how this game works. Certain guys, you put them in and then like it's cool that you didn't get knocked out, but sometimes getting knocked out is better. And what do I mean? Like Pacquiao. Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez. Done. You're just knocked out. That's it. No more, no less. But it's not sustained punishment. I feel like those sustained beatings sometimes last longer and stay with you more. Because just think about your psyche. You could be like, I was doing good in the Marquez fight. He just caught me with 1 punch. It was over. You could justify that. But then if you look at the fight with Benavidez, Caleb Plant, it looked like he was going away in the later rounds and he just kept trucking and it made for a fun fight. But I feel like possibly that has like some lingering effects where it puts some mileage on Caleb Plant. Just look at his McCumbee fight and look at his fight. Just look at his pre-fights before, because same thing with Canelo. Canelo, that was like he kind of caught him in a round and then he put the pressure on, knocked Caleb Plant out. Boom. That was it. That's not the same as what Benavidez did. So, again, I'm not taking away credit from Resendiz. It's just an observation. I think that Benavidez fight, it, created some like lasting effect. But PBC had another banger of a card. I enjoyed the Charlo fight. I enjoyed the Caleb Plant fight. Shout out to Jamal Charlo. Shout out to Resendiz. Shout out to everybody. Caleb Plant. I didn't like how Cornflake LaManna was fighting. I will say that. Caleb Plant, he just lost on the given night, but LaManna check my video. I already did a video about that. I don't like how he was fighting, but it is what it is. For streams, if you want to stream like Boxing Ego, use my link in the description. It's an affiliate link for StreamYard. Definitely hit up that link. A lot of people, they ask me, how do I get started and stuff? Use what the pros use, StreamYard. So make sure you guys do that. And Caleb Plant versus Resendiz, run it back. I want to see a rematch. And that's what really happened. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.